Hello, everyone. I know it's been a tough time. It's like one thing after another, right? My office uh, wasn't getting internet up there, so I'm using one of the Sunday school classrooms down the hall, across from the or beside the toddler room. But anyways, what I'm referring to is we know there's a lot of civil unrest, and there's a lot of protesters out there who are speaking up about police brutality, and unfortunately, a lot of that's been hijacked and turned into riots. I'm all for peaceful protests. Use your amendments. That's what they're there for. And even if I may or may not agree with what you're protesting for, but you definitely should be able to protest. But it is tough when it turns into rioting, and violence is never a good option. You know, um, Especially if there are better avenues and better ways to get your message across. And fortunately, this all stemmed from the death of George Floyd, and his family has been asking for peace and for all this stuff to stop. So I know you're seeing a lot of that on the news cycle, and you're hearing a lot about it. And just pray for our country. Pray that people stop getting hurt and property stops getting damaged, and that everyone's safe out there. And hopefully, you know, they should look into this stuff. I was in law enforcement for a while, and I didn't see any systemic racism or anything like that in it. And where I was at, we dealt with big minority communities a lot of the time. I'm not saying that there aren't things that we can do better. I just don't know what the answer is, and I know that burning down cities doesn't help to get your point across. Even here in Greenville, where we're seeing some of the effects of these protests, and even in our downtown area, they're doing some stuff. So just pray for our leaders. Pray that they'll have the courage to make some tough decisions and to protect us, because that's the role of government. And all this, we have to ask, you know, what's the Christian response to this? What's the Christian approach to situations like this? And I've said it before, and I'll say it again: is when I'm in a situation where I don't know all the answers and I don't know uh, how interlocked or interconnected things are, I try to approach it with a level of Christian humility. Right? We have to realize that we don't have all the answers, and we have a lot of biases. And I just said one of mine earlier about this whole situation. And we have to realize that in our limited view of the world, we might not have all the answers. And if everyone approached it from that situation, I think the world would be a better place, and people would be more tempered in their responses to things, understanding that, you know, sometimes you can do more harm than good if you try to approach things without all the answers. And as Christians, we have to have humility. We have to understand that we are not God, that we did not make the world, we don't have all the answers, and all we can do is our best. All we can do is what the Bible says and love one another. Even at times when it's hard to love people, even at times when people don't want to be loved, we have to love them, or we have to do our best to love them. And one of the things that is really trying right now is patience. We're probably at our wits' end for patience. We've been listening to people telling us to stay home for all year long. We've been listening to people telling us to stay inside now because there's curfews, for law-abiding citizens. And we just need patience. And patience is a virtue, but patience isn't one that a lot of people have or practice, or a lot of people I've always heard, don't ask for patience because it's hard to learn patience. And you got to go through things a lot of times that teach you patience that aren't always the best things. So one of the issues with patience is it comes up because we all want control. We want to be the pilot of our life. We want to be in the driver's seat, and we want to make the decisions for what goes on. And that's all well and good. But as Christians, with this humility that I was talking about earlier, we've accepted the fact that we aren't in control, that we don't know everything, and that we've submitted to something else that has those answers. A God who's above us all and loves and cares and protects us, gave us purpose and reason. And, we do our best to live up to his standard and to conform our lives to the image of what he wants us to be. And so, what impatience is a reflection of our designs. It's a reflection of our wants and what we think the world should be and how we think the world should work. And it's us flexing our ego and saying how we think everything should be. And I'm not saying we aren't right sometimes. I'm not saying we don't have agency or that we can't control some of the elements of our life or we can't make the world better or influence people around us or things around us. But when we can't or when we've done all that we can, we need to have peace about it. And that peace comes from patience. Patience isn't letting people walk all over you and tell you how to live your life or what to do or where to go, anything like that. Patience is managing your emotions, not letting them get the control of you, not letting other people control you through your emotions, through your anger, and tempering yourself. And it's all a total package. A lot of times with Christianity, if you look at your virtues and you look at humility and patience and love, forgiveness, they're all interconnected. They're all tied one to another, and it's hard to have some of those virtues without the others because they all feed off of each other. All the good things in you are amplified by the other good parts about you. And I'd say the negative qualities do the same thing. They feed off one another. So at times like this, when all you hear is negativity, when all you hear is pain and violence, and you see it on the street, it saddens me, it angers me when I see things. You turn on the TV and you hear all this stuff that's going on, and I might have even got a little emotional, but sometimes we should get angry about stuff. And then you ask, what can you do? Sometimes you sit there and you pray about it, and you're looking for guidance, and that's kind of where I'm at right now with all this craziness in the world. And I think I think that's what the church should be doing right now is a lot of prayer. We should be praying for the racial tensions in our country, which are have gotten worse in the last 10 years, and they were on the way. Things were pretty peaceful as I was growing up. From what I'd heard, things had been during like the race riots years and years ago. But I think they're not in the best place now. I'm not saying it's terrible, but things like this don't make them better. So love your neighbors, love people because they are created in the image of God. I'm not saying that people aren't. I'm just, giving us just a little push that is what we're supposed to be doing. Pray for your police officers. They're put in positions where they have to make hard decisions all the time in a second. Pray for the people hiring police and putting them in people in positions of power, and that they place wise people there, people with restraint and patience and humility. And pray for all of our leaders as they make really tough decisions right now. Pray for those who are sick with the virus, and pray for families who've lost businesses from the virus, from the riots, from all the stuff going on in the world. Pray that we can come back together and see each other face to face soon, and that we can all push through this together, not just virtually together, but actually physically together, and we can all enjoy each other's company again. So I hope everyone's doing great. As you can see, there's a lot of things that we can pray for in the community and the world around us, and we don't need to take it for granted. You don't need to take your prayer life for granted, and it's part of the way that we process the world around us, talking to God. You kind of internalize things as you walk through your daily life, and you ask yourself, what would you do or what's the right thing to do? And kind of forming it into words in your head and talking to God about it is one way of venting, is one way of processing everything and getting it off your shoulders and kind of handing it to somebody who can bear the burden a little bit better than you can by yourself. So if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling anxious about all this stuff going on, you need to reach out and talk to me. Please do. I want to talk to you. That's what I'm here for, is to communicate with you guys and get us through these tough times together and create these bonds together. And I, I don't care if you have a different opinion than me about anything. I'm not going to make you feel bad or stupid about it. You know, it's okay to talk about stuff you disagree with people with, and I wouldn't make it about that anyways. Um, so please, please reach out to me. Um, I love you all. I'm praying for each and every one of you, praying for the world and our leaders, our soldiers, our police. Um, there's a lot of prayers that need going around. But please reach out to me. I'll talk to you all later.